How to learn English without a teacher. There is a question I want you to sit with before we begin. How long have you been waiting? Waiting for the right course, waiting for the right teacher, waiting for the right moment, waiting until your schedule is less busy, your confidence is higher, your English feels a little better before you truly start. If you are honest with yourself right now, the answer might be months. For some of you, it might be years. And here is what makes that painful. It is not that you have been lazy. It is not that you have been careless. The painful truth is that you have genuinely wanted to improve. You have thought about it. You have planned it. You have maybe even started several times. But something keeps stopping you. And today, we are going to talk about exactly what that something is, and more importantly, how you destroy it permanently. Because here is what I know after working with thousands of English learners from all over the world. Your English is not the problem. Your waiting is the problem. And in the next 45 minutes, we are going to change that completely. You are going to learn 7 powerful lessons for building real, natural, confident English all by yourself, at home, without a teacher, without expensive courses, and without waiting for anyone to give you permission to grow. These are not theory lessons. These are not grammar explanations. These are practical, psychological, life-changing lessons that will reshape the way you think about language, about learning, and about yourself. And if you stay until the final lesson, you will hear the one truth that holds everything together. The one truth that separates people who become fluent from people who stay stuck forever. Stay with me. Let us begin. Lesson 1. Take complete ownership of your learning. Let me start with a story. Imagine 2 students. They both want to learn English. They both have access to the same phone, the same internet, the same free resources. They live in similar cities, have similar jobs, and have similar amounts of free time each day. 1 year later, one of them speaks English with confidence. They communicate clearly at work. They understand English videos without subtitles, and they feel genuinely comfortable when English is required. The other one is in almost exactly the same place they started. A little better, maybe, but not transformed, not fluent, not confident. What is the difference between them? It is not talent. It is not natural ability. It is not that one had a better teacher or a more expensive course. The difference is one decision. One of them decided, I am responsible for my English. I will not wait for anyone. The other one kept waiting. Waiting for guidance. Waiting for the right class. Waiting for someone to push them. And that waiting cost them a year of their life. Now, I want you to hear this next part very carefully, because this is the foundation of everything that follows. No teacher in the world can make you fluent. I know that sounds harsh, but it is the most loving truth I can give you, because a teacher can guide you, but a teacher cannot practice for you. A teacher can correct your mistakes, but a teacher cannot build your habits. A teacher can give you knowledge, but only you can transform that knowledge into a living, breathing skill. Think about it this way. Learning English is like building physical fitness. A personal trainer can design the perfect program for you. They can tell you exactly what exercises to do, how many repetitions, how much rest. They can stand beside you and shout encouragement. But if you do not lift the weights yourself, nothing in your body changes. Nobody gets strong on someone else's effort, and nobody becomes fluent on someone else's practice. So here is the question that will change your direction. Right now, today, are you waiting for someone? Are you saying to yourself, when I find a good teacher, I will improve. When I join a class, I will start. When someone guides me properly, I will become fluent? If you are, then this is the moment to stop. Because the moment you decide I am in charge of my own English, everything changes. You stop looking outward for something that was always inside you. You stop waiting for conditions to be perfect and start building something real with the conditions you already have. You have a phone. You have the internet. You have access to more English content than any classroom could ever provide. You have your own voice. You have your own time. What is missing is not resources. What is missing is decision. So make it now. Say it clearly inside your mind. I am responsible for my English. I will not wait for anyone. I will start today. That decision, right there, is the beginning of everything. Self-learners grow faster. They do not wait for instructions. They try things. They make mistakes. They learn from those mistakes quickly and try again. They move at their own pace, on their own terms, with a fire inside them that no classroom can produce. Your growth begins the moment your excuses end. No teacher, no problem. No course, no problem. No perfect environment, no problem. Because today, right now, you have everything you need. The only thing that has ever been missing is your action. Start small. Do not overwhelm yourself thinking about fluency. Think about today. What can you do today? You can learn 5 words and use them in sentences. You can speak 5 sentences out loud and feel what it is like to use your voice. You can read 1 short paragraph and understand more than you expect. You can listen to English for 10 minutes and notice something new. That is it. Small, simple, but done today, not tomorrow. Because the person who starts small and starts today will always be ahead of the person who plans to start perfectly someday. No one is coming to teach you. You must teach yourself, and that is not a weakness, that is your strength. Lesson 2, build your English world. Let me ask you something. Do you know why children become fluent in language so naturally and so quickly? It is not because they are more intelligent than adults. It is not because their brains are magic. It is not because they attend brilliant language classes. It is because they live inside the language. From the moment they wake up to the moment they fall asleep, the language is everywhere around them. They hear it in conversation. They see it on signs and books and screens. They feel its rhythm in music and stories. They breathe it in and breathe it out without even thinking about it. The language becomes their world. And here is what most adult learners do instead. They sit down for a focused study session, maybe 30 minutes, maybe 1 hour. They memorize some vocabulary. They practice some grammar. They feel satisfied, and then they close everything and return to a world entirely built in their native language. And they wonder why progress feels so slow. The answer is simple. You cannot become fluent in a language you only visit for 30 minutes a day. You need to move into it. Now, before you say it, I know what you are thinking. I do not live in an English country. There is nobody around me who speaks English. How am I supposed to build an English environment? And my answer to you is simple and powerful. You do not need to move to an English country. You can bring English to where you already are. Here is how you start. The first thing you do is change your phone language to English. This sounds small. It is not small. Every time you pick up your phone, which for most people is dozens of times a day, you are seeing English. Your brain starts recognizing words without even trying. Without any effort or study, English becomes familiar. And familiarity is the foundation of fluency. The second thing you do is change your entertainment to English. I know this one feels uncomfortable at first, but think about how much time you spend watching videos, scrolling through content, listening to music. What if a portion of that time was in English? You do not need to understand everything. You do not need to understand most of it. In the beginning, understanding 20% is enough, because your brain is still absorbing the sounds, the rhythm, the patterns of the language. Your brain is quietly learning even when you feel like you are learning nothing. Understanding comes gradually. First, you catch 20%, then 40, then 60. Then one day you realize you are watching an entire video in English and understanding almost all of it. And you wonder when that happened. It happened slowly. In all the small moments when English was playing in the background while you were living your life. The third thing is to make English your thinking companion. This is one of the most powerful shifts you can make. Throughout your day, start using small English thoughts. Not long sentences, not perfect grammar, just simple, honest thoughts. I am tired today. The weather is nice. I need to eat something. This is taking too long. I feel good about this. These thoughts seem tiny. They are not tiny. Every time your brain produces a thought in English instead of translating, you are shortening the distance between English and your natural self. You are building a direct highway between your mind and the language. The fourth thing is to read English daily. Not advanced academic papers, not complicated novels, simple things, short paragraphs, easy articles, beginner-friendly stories. The goal is not to impress anyone. The goal is daily contact. Daily reading trains your eye to recognize English patterns and trains your brain to understand structure without conscious effort. The fifth thing is to listen intentionally every single day. While you are walking, while you are cooking, while you are resting, let English be playing. Let your ears get familiar with its sounds, its pace, its music. Because here is the truth that most people never fully understand. Your environment shapes your mind more powerfully than any course or textbook ever could. If your environment is saturated with your native language, your brain stays there. But if you gradually fill your environment with English, your brain begins to adapt, without force, without pressure, naturally. Remember this: if you live in English, you will learn English. Build your world. Surround yourself with the language. Stay connected to it every day. And slowly, without even realizing when it happened, English will stop feeling foreign. It will start feeling familiar. And familiar is the first step toward fluent. Lesson 3. Speak every single day, even alone. I want to tell you about the most common mistake I see in English learners, and it might be the mistake that is holding you back right now. Most people spend months, sometimes years, doing everything except the one thing that actually builds fluency. They read English, they listen to English, they watch English, they study English, they think about English, but they do not speak English. And then they wonder why, after all that time and all that effort, they still freeze when someone asks them a simple question. The reason is simple and uncomfortable. You cannot learn to speak by listening. You cannot learn to speak by reading. You cannot learn to speak by watching videos. You can only learn to speak by speaking. It sounds obvious, but somehow this truth gets avoided, because speaking is the one skill that exposes you. Reading is private. Listening is private. But speaking means using your voice, and that means being heard. And being heard means being judged. And that possibility of judgment is terrifying for most people. So let me remove that fear right now. You do not need an audience to practice speaking. You do not need a partner, a classmate, or a native speaker willing to correct your mistakes. You can start alone, and alone is actually the best place to start. Why? Because when you are alone, there is no judgment. There is no pressure. There is no one watching the clock or correcting you in the middle of a sentence. You are completely free to make every mistake possible without any consequence. And freedom to make mistakes is the most powerful learning environment in existence. So here is how you start speaking every day. When you wake up in the morning, speak out loud to yourself in English. Say simple things. I woke up. I feel sleepy. Today is going to be a good day. Let me start strong. I need to make tea. As you move through your day, narrate what you are doing. I am brushing my teeth. I am getting dressed. I am going outside. I am feeling a bit stressed today. I need to focus. When you have a stronger moment, describe what you are thinking. I was thinking about my plans for next week. I want to try something new. I feel like I need to change my routine. Now here is a very important thing to understand. At first, your sentences will be broken. You will stop in the middle. You will forget words. You will search for the right expression and not find it. You will make grammar mistakes and not know how to fix them. None of that matters. All of it is normal. All of it is exactly what is supposed to happen. Because every time you open your mouth and try, even imperfectly, you are building something. You are building the mental muscles of speaking. You are training your brain to search for English instead of defaulting to silence. You are telling your mind that English is a living tool, not a test to pass. Speak slowly. I want to say this again. Speak slowly. Many learners rush because they want to sound fluent, but rushing without fluency sounds worse than speaking slowly with clarity. When you speak slowly, you think more clearly, you find your words more easily, and you actually sound more confident, not less. Now I want you to add one more powerful habit. Record yourself. Yes, I know. Most people hate hearing their own voice. Most people feel embarrassed when they play back their recording. But that embarrassment is valuable, because when you listen to yourself, you notice things you cannot notice in the moment of speaking. You hear your hesitations. You hear your unclear pronunciation. You hear where your sentences fall apart. And when you hear it clearly, you can fix it. Record 1 minute every day. Listen, notice, try again the next day. After 1 month, go back and listen to your very first recording. The difference will genuinely surprise you, because speaking daily, even alone, even imperfectly, builds something remarkable over time. In 1 week, you feel less nervous. In 1 month, you feel more natural. In 3 months, you feel genuinely more confident. And that confidence is not borrowed. It is built. It belongs to you permanently. Remember this truth. Your voice is your most powerful English tool. The day you start using it daily is the day your fluency truly begins. Lesson 4. Learn vocabulary the smart way. Let me tell you something about vocabulary that most English courses will never tell you. It is not about how many words you know. It is about how many words you can use. This is a crucial difference. There are learners who have memorized thousands of English words. They have studied vocabulary lists. They have used flashcard apps. They have tested themselves over and over. But when they try to speak, those words are not there. They cannot reach them. The vocabulary that lives inside a memorized list does not automatically transfer to a living, breathing conversation. Why? Because your brain does not remember words in isolation. Your brain remembers words in context. It remembers how a word feels inside a sentence. It remembers when you last used a word and what situation you were in. It remembers the emotion connected to that word. So if you memorize a word and never use it, your brain stores it somewhere very deep and very hard to access. But if you use a word again and again, in real sentences, in real moments of speaking and writing, your brain places it somewhere easy and fast to reach. This is the difference between passive vocabulary and active vocabulary. And fluency requires active vocabulary. So here is the smarter approach. Instead of learning 50 words a day shallowly, learn 5 to 10 words a day deeply. For each word, do 3 things. First, understand the real meaning, not just a translation. Understand how and when to use it. Second, immediately build a sentence with that word. A sentence about your own real life, not an example from a textbook, something true to you. If the word is frustrated, you say, "I felt frustrated when I could not find the right words today." If the word is improve, you say, "I want to improve my pronunciation this week." Third, say the sentence out loud, not in your mind, out loud, because saying it connects the word to your voice and to your mouth, and that connection is what makes it usable. Now here is another powerful principle. Learn words that connect to your real daily life. Do not start with academic vocabulary. Do not start with advanced business English. Start with the words you actually use every day. In your own life. Eat, sleep, work, plan, feel, think, want, need, try, start, stop, finish, help, understand, remember, forget, decide. These are not impressive words, but they are powerful words because you will use them in almost every conversation you ever have. And using common words with confidence is far more impressive than using rare words with hesitation. Expand outward from your real life. If you cook, learn cooking words. If you work in an office, learn office words. If you exercise, learn fitness words. When vocabulary connects to your real activities, your brain stores it with a context marker, with a real situation attached to it, and that makes it far easier to retrieve when you need it. And always remember the rule of repetition. If you do not see a word again, you will forget it. So every day, spend 5 minutes reviewing the words you learned yesterday. Speak them again. Use them in new sentences. Connect them to different situations. 5 words a day, learned deeply and used actively, means 150 words a month. 450 words in 3 months. All usable, all accessible, all genuinely yours. Because vocabulary does not grow by collecting, it grows by using. Stop learning words to remember. Start learning words to use, and your language will transform. Lesson 5. Train your ears and your mouth together. There is a method that the best language learners in the world use. It is not complicated. It does not require a classroom or a teacher or expensive equipment, and yet most learners have never tried it. It is called shadowing, and when you combine it with deep listening, it becomes one of the fastest paths to natural, confident English that exists. Let me explain how it works and why it is so powerful. Think about how children learn language. Before they say a single word clearly, they spend months just listening. They absorb sounds. They notice patterns. They feel the rhythm of the language before they can reproduce it. And then, when they start speaking, they copy. They hear mom say something, and they try to say it back. They hear a sentence pattern over and over, and slowly, their mouth starts producing that same pattern. Adults have abandoned this process. They try to build language from grammar rules and vocabulary lists. And then they wonder why their speaking sounds unnatural, why their pronunciation feels awkward, why they cannot quite capture the flow of real English. The answer is, they skipped the listening and copying phase. So here is what you do instead. Deep listening means you choose short, simple English audio, not advanced content, not fast native speakers talking at full speed. Simple, clear, slow English to begin with. And instead of just letting it play in the background, you give it your full attention. You notice individual words. You notice how sentences sound. You notice where the speaker pauses, where they stress certain words, where their voice rises and falls. This kind of focused listening teaches your brain the music of English, not just the meaning, the actual sound and rhythm of the language. And that music is what makes speech sound natural rather than robotic. Shadowing takes this one step further. You choose one sentence from your audio, you listen to it carefully, then you pause, and you repeat it immediately. Not just the words, the entire sound, the pronunciation, the rhythm, the speed, the feeling. I want to improve my English every day. Listen to it, pause, now repeat it, not just the words, the whole sound of it. This seems simple, but it is training many things at once. It is training your pronunciation. It is training your listening accuracy. It is training your mouth to produce English sounds naturally. And it is training your confidence, because every time you successfully copy a sentence, you prove to yourself that you can sound like that. Start with 3 to 5 sentences a day. Listen, pause, repeat. Focus on the sound, not just the meaning. Do this every single day. After 1 month of consistent shadowing, something remarkable happens. The English that once sounded fast begins to sound clear. The sentences that once felt impossible begin to feel natural in your mouth. The gap between the English you understand and the English you produce begins to close, because your ears and your mouth are finally learning to work together. And when your ears and mouth work together in English, something shifts permanently. You stop translating. You stop searching. You stop hesitating. You start reacting. And reaction is the root of real fluency. Train your ears. Train your mouth. Every single day. Lesson 6. Consistency is everything I need to say something now that you might not want to hear. Most people who want to improve their English will not improve. Not because they are not capable. Not because English is too difficult. Not because they lack the right resources or the right methods. They will not improve because they will not stay consistent. This is the hardest and most important truth in all of language learning. And I want to talk about it honestly, because I think you deserve honesty more than you deserve encouragement that is not real. Here is the pattern I see again and again. A person gets inspired. Maybe they watch a video like this one. Maybe they have a moment where they feel genuinely motivated. So they start. Day 1, they study for 2 hours. Day 2, they practice hard. Day 3, still going strong. Day 4, they are a little tired, but they push through. Day 5, something comes up. They skip it. Day 6, they feel guilty, but they skip again. Day 7, they have mentally quit, even if they have not said it out loud. And a month later, they find themselves inspired again, and the cycle repeats. This is not learning. This is the illusion of learning, and it will keep you stuck forever if you allow it. So let me give you a different picture of what consistency actually looks like. Consistency is not training for 4 hours on Monday and recovering for the rest of the week. Consistency is showing up every single day for 25 minutes, no matter what. On the busy day, on the tired day, on the day when you feel completely unmotivated and English feels like the last thing you want to do, especially on that day. Because motivation is weather. It comes and goes without warning. You cannot build a life on weather, but discipline is the sunrise. It arrives every morning, regardless of how you feel, regardless of what happened yesterday, regardless of what is coming tomorrow. Discipline is doing what you said you would do, even when the feeling that made you say it is completely gone. And here is the great reward of discipline. When you practice every day, even a little, your brain never forgets. The neural connections you are building stay active. The vocabulary you are learning stays accessible. The speaking confidence you are growing never fully disappears, because you keep refreshing it every day. But when you stop, those connections begin to fade. The vocabulary slips back into passive memory. The confidence shrinks, and starting again after stopping always feels harder than if you had just kept going. So here is your daily system. Write it down. Speak for 10 to 15 minutes every day. Listen to English for 10 to 15 minutes every day. Read something simple in English for 10 minutes every day. Learn and use 5 new words every day. That is 40 to 50 minutes total, less than one episode of a television show. And if even that feels like too much on a difficult day, do less. Speak for 5 minutes. Listen for 5. Read 1 paragraph. Just do something, because something is infinitely better than nothing. Some days your practice will feel strong. Some days it will feel weak and slow. Some days you will end your session and feel like you learned absolutely nothing. Those days feel discouraging, but they are not wasted. Your brain was still working. The exposure still happened. The habit stayed alive. Never judge a learning session by how it felt. Judge it by the fact that you showed up. After 30 days of consistency, you will feel improvement. After 90 days, other people will notice your improvement. After 1 year, you will not recognize the English speaker you used to be. This is not fantasy. This is the entirely predictable result of showing up every single day. Fluency is not built by doing more. It is built by not stopping. You do not need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. Show up every day. Practice a little. Improve a little. And slowly, without even fully realizing when it happened, the English that once felt like a foreign language will start to feel like yours. Lesson 7. Believe in yourself completely. We have arrived at the final lesson, and I saved it for last because it is the one that holds every other lesson together. Without this one, nothing else works. Believe in yourself. I know those 3 words have been said so many times they might feel empty, so let me explain exactly what I mean in a way that is real and practical and not just a motivational slogan. Your mindset is not a soft thing. It is not a feel-good bonus on top of the real work. Your mindset is the engine that drives every single thing you do. And if that engine is running on doubt and disbelief, then it does not matter how good your methods are. They will not work. Here is why. Your brain is a prediction machine. It constantly makes predictions about what is possible for you based on what you believe about yourself. When you tell yourself, "I am not good at English," your brain hears that as a command. It starts filtering your experience through that belief. It notices every mistake and interprets it as evidence that you were right. It ignores your progress because progress does not fit the story. And then slowly, that belief becomes your reality. Not because it was ever true, but because you repeated it enough times for your brain to treat it as fact. The opposite is equally true. When you begin to say, "I am learning English. I am improving every day. I am capable of this," Your brain begins to search for evidence that confirms that story. It notices when you understand something new. It registers the conversation that went better than expected. It celebrates the word you remembered without thinking. And slowly, that evidence builds. Your confidence grows. Your actions change. Your results change. This is not positive thinking as a replacement for work. This is understanding how your mind actually functions and using that understanding in your favor. Now, I want to say something about mistakes that might be the most important thing in this entire video. Mistakes are not failures. Mistakes are information. Every fluent English speaker you have ever admired made thousands of mistakes on the way to where they are. They mispronounced words in public. They used the wrong tense in professional conversations. They forgot vocabulary at the worst possible moments. They stumbled and hesitated and sometimes went completely blank. But they did not interpret those moments as evidence that they were not capable. They interpreted them as part of the process. And because of that, they kept going. And because they kept going, they eventually arrived. You have the same ability they have. You have the same brain. You have access to the same resources. The only difference between where you are and where you want to be is time plus consistent action, plus belief that the journey is worth continuing. So stop comparing your beginning to someone else's middle. Stop measuring yourself against people who have been practicing for years. Measure yourself against where you were last month. Are you better? Even a little? Even in small ways? If you are, then you are winning. Celebrate small progress. I mean this seriously. Learn a new word and feel genuinely good about it. Speak a sentence that comes out smoothly and acknowledge that. Understand an English video without subtitles and recognize that 6 months ago you could not do that. Small wins are not small. Small wins are the building blocks of the confidence that eventually allows you to do big things. And do not wait to feel confident before you start. Confidence is not something you find before you begin. Confidence is something you build through action. You feel nervous, you speak anyway, and afterward, you feel slightly less nervous. You repeat that 100 times, and the nervousness transforms into something else entirely. Courage comes before confidence, always. So start with courage. Believe that growth is possible, even when you cannot yet see the results. Trust the process, even on the days when it feels like nothing is moving. Because here is the final truth I want to leave with you. Every person who is fluent in English today went through exactly what you are going through. Every single one of them had a day where they wondered if they were capable. Every single one of them had moments of wanting to quit. Every single one of them felt slow and uncertain and worried they were not making progress. And then they decided to keep going anyway. That decision is the entire difference. So keep going. Not because it is always easy, not because every day will feel like progress, but because you made a decision. And you are someone who keeps their word, especially to themselves. Learning English without a teacher is not just possible. It is powerful because every skill you build, you own completely. Nobody gave it to you. Nobody can take it from you. You earned it, word by word, sentence by sentence, day by day. And when you finally speak with confidence, when you finally express yourself freely in this language, the satisfaction you feel will be unlike anything a classroom certificate could ever give you, because you will know exactly what it cost, and you will know exactly what you are made of. Closing. We started this video with a question. How long have you been waiting? Now, at the end of these 45 minutes, you have something better than a reason to wait. You have a roadmap. 7 lessons. 7 building blocks of real, permanent, self-built English fluency. Lesson 1. Take complete ownership. Stop waiting for a teacher and start acting like the person already in charge of your own growth. Lesson 2. Build your English world. Surround yourself with the language in small, daily, consistent ways until it stops feeling foreign. Lesson 3. Speak every single day, even alone, even imperfectly, because speaking is the only path to speaking. Lesson 4. Learn vocabulary smartly. 5 deep words a day, used actively, beats 50 shallow words forgotten by morning. Lesson 5. Train your ears and mouth together through listening and shadowing. Copy real English until your mouth knows how it is supposed to feel. Lesson 6. Be consistent above everything else. Show up every day, even a little. Never stop, because stopping costs more than any difficult day ever does. Lesson 7. Believe in yourself completely, not blindly, not without evidence, but with the honest recognition that you are capable of this, that millions of people have done exactly this, and that you are no different. The extraordinary life you want in English is not behind a classroom door somewhere. It is built inside the ordinary moments of every single day. The moment when you speak, even though your voice shakes. The moment when you listen, even though you are tired. The moment when you keep going, even though nobody is watching. Each of those moments is a vote for the person you are becoming. Cast enough votes, and that person becomes real. Now, go learn something. Today, not tomorrow. I will see you in the next video.